Attendance enabled, guys. So attendance is enabled, guys. I only have 16 responses till now. So
Sir, hello.
yeah, yeah.
How can we remove a TLE while compiling the program?
Sorry, I didn't get your voice. It's not very clear. What is it?
The time limit exceeded.
Where are you getting this?
I am doing a problem in CodeChef.
Mm-hmm.
It has successfully compiled the test cases, but when I submit it, it says time limit exceeded.
So what happens is something like this. On these online compilers, they cannot actually let you run a process for unlimited amount of time, right? So what they do is that they have some kind of a time limit, okay, and your program must finish execution within that time limit. It will be different for different platforms. If your program doesn't finish in so much amount of time, it will be killed, okay, it will not be able to complete its work. So now the best guess in these cases is that number one, your code may have some kind of infinite loop, because of which it goes into a kind of loop, and the time limit exceeds. Number two, uh, the problem, that the way you are solving the problem is probably too crude. Crude as in they expect you to use some other method which solves the problem in a faster fashion, okay, but that you are not able to do. So these are the two common reasons for this TLE thing. Now, exact thing, it will require much more detailed analysis, but this is the primary reason that essentially something is taking up a lot of time in your program. It could be a genuine thing as in your code itself is taking so much time, or it could be a logical error because of which there might be a infinite loop. That is the
It's
issue.
a logical error. It says it is executed in 1.001 second, and they say that it must be executed in less than 1 second.
Yes. So what? So this is what, right? I mean, on the in these in all these online portals where you code, it's not just about solving the problem. You also have to solve the problem efficiently, right? So in many cases, you can write what we call as a brute force uh, answer to the question, but that is too inefficient. Okay, it might take many hours, for example, to solve the problem that they are expecting. But you are expected to use a solution which gives you the answer much sooner. This is the idea. So if they are saying that your code must run in within 1 second, it means that they are expecting your solution to be much faster than what you are doing right now. So you actually have to go back and check what was the question, what is the solution that you are trying to achieve, and then you'll have to probably come up with a better solution. That is the only thing that I can say from the outset. I don't really know what exactly is the question and what exactly is the answer, but this is the overall idea that probably you need to write more efficient code, and this is the problem. Many a times when you are beginning with programming, uh, because you are not aware of many problem solving techniques. See, we discussed one problem solving technique, divide and conquer, right? There are actually many others. Okay, there are things like memoization and greedy approach, dynamic programming. um, Ideally you would study all these things in a course on algorithms, okay, but as of now, right, I mean, you can only try to solve the problems with whatever knowledge you have. So this might be the case that maybe the question that you're trying is a bit too difficult to do with the knowledge that you already have. Okay, so maybe you either need to study more, or maybe you have to try a simpler problem. That is what I am guessing right now.
Okay, so thanks.
Okay, what is the strength now? 74, I think, is good enough. And by the way, attendance is open, so those of you who have not marked attendance, you can mark it. So today we are going to discuss the first lecture of week 8, 8.1. That is basically the second part of the functions. Is Did anyone say anything? Okay, so we are going to discuss the second part of the functions lecture, and mostly this lecture was around call by value and call by reference, or pass by value and pass by reference concepts. So let me also just say say this out aloud, that these two concepts as such, they are not limited to C programming. Okay, um, they are common concepts to all the programming languages. But of course, because we are studying C programming, we are studying it with respect to C. But don't think that this is a C concept. Okay, it's a general programming concept. How do you call a function, by value or by reference? Okay, so let us start. I'll Let me open up my shepherding. Mm, okay, today is what, 8th February. Hmm. Okay, you guys can start with your so whomsoever would like to be a volunteer, please put it on chat. Oh yeah, Akshay has made a comment. I didn't see. Yeah, so basically your code has a higher time complexity. I'm not sure whether you guys can understand what is a what if you guys understand the big O notation, then the idea is that you are trying to solve this problem using an algorithm which has a higher big O which has a higher big O estimate. That is the idea. So you need to find an algorithm which can do it in a lower big O notation. In case you understand what is big O, if you don't understand, it's fine. That is what I said. That uh, don't don't be too much worried about it. There will be a time when you'll understand what big O notation is. So maybe as of now, just try out a simpler problem. That is the idea, or just to have confidence, don't submit it online. Just see if you can produce the sample output from the sample input. That is it. Okay. I'm not sure whether they allow you to download the input files or not. If they allow you, then just download it and check it. Otherwise,
No,
otherwise you can. Okay. Uh, yeah. So Ayush, would you like to be a shepherd? Okay. So Ayush, let me start with Ayush, Prerak, Manish, Rohan. Yeah, four is fine. Just keep on telling me your section and roll numbers. Ayush. Uh, so this is IT 24. Okay, IT 24. Okay, Ayush. And Prerak is IT 9. IT 9. And Manish is IT 35. 35. Okay, done. And Rohan is CS 64. CS 64. Okay. Okay, guys. So let's start. Let me share my screen. Hmm. Okay, can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can start now. These are some of the questions. If you have more, we can add it. But I thought these questions probably cover up whatever I have discussed it. But still, so let's start, guys, and I'll mute myself. Let the shepherds take over from here. Okay.
In the first question, which is what does it mean to send parameters to a function by value? So in default, if you create any function and you pass the variables to it, then they are by default they are passed by value. So in this, what we do is we just copy the value of our actual parameters into the formal parameters, and then in the function definition we operate upon the variables, and then we return an output which is then, you can say, which is used in the main function. But the in this passing the function by value, the values of the actual parameters are they are unchanged. They are just copied into the formal parameters, and there if any change is done in the value of formal parameters, then that change is not reflected into the actual parameters. So it is and also the memory location which is located to the function, to the our user defined function. It is only used when the function is being operated upon. After the function has returned the value, then that memory location is also freed. So any other effort would like to add into this?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that
I
was
would like
fine.
to add. Yeah, you can go on.
Go on. Go on, go on.
Ayush, please continue. Please continue.
No, I wasn't saying anything. I was going to the next question.
I would just like to add function by value means when we take the value of a function and send it forward it to another function, and here integers and other would work, but for arrays you don't have to specially mention that. Arrays are by default sent with reference. Arrays don't always go with the values. That's all.
So anybody has any doubt for this question?
So, by the way, just one more point from my side. Um, the term by default, that is actually true just for the C language. Okay, so in C language, by default, if you just write the name of the parameter, they are passed by value. But in some other language, it might be different. Okay, as I said, this is a general concept, but because we are studying it through C, in C, yes, it is by default, things passed by value. Okay, go ahead, guys.
Okay, if
Yeah,
nobody has any, okay, you can go on.
When we pass an array in the function, there are two ways. Either you write int a square bracket or int star a. So what is the difference between these two?
Can you please repeat your question?
My question is, when we pass an array into the function, we just function definition int a square bracket. So this makes the function to take the array. Okay. And
Yes.
there is another way that instead of writing that we can write int star a pointer of the array.
Yes, when you add the square brackets, it makes the integer a array, and now you don't have to add the asterisk before the a because it will be carried forward in all the functions. But if you don't add the square brackets, it will make it an normal integer. So if you want to, so if you want it to be continued in the other functions, you have to add star. Otherwise, it will be uh, concised to that specific function only.
Um,
I
so
guess this clears it.
let me just add to it. So both the ways are actually fine, and the overall effect that they have will be same, with just one exception. Okay, and that exception for that exception you have to go back and check the slides from the previous week where we saw how exactly is it is a pointer different from an array. Okay, and there you will see that one major difference is that an array is basically a pointer constant. Okay, so let us say if you have declared something as int arrs and square brackets, um, it is a constant. So if you try to do arr plus plus in your called function, you will get an error. Okay, but if you do the same thing, if you declare your parameter as int asterisk arr, if within your function you do arr plus plus, that is a valid thing to do. Okay, yes, does it make sense? So basically, if you create the parameter with square brackets, you can still use the array as it is, but you cannot do arr plus plus. Okay, but if you do so, but if you plan to use that arr plus plus, right, pointer arithmetic,
So
in that case,
if we do
yeah,
that square bracket thing, it is called by value.
it is
And
in both cases it is called by reference only, and this is
okay,
basically
so
the last. I think this is the last one, right? Question 5 is about that only, so we will discuss it in detail. But in both cases, it will be called by reference only. The difference is that the variable that you are creating in the called function, if you are just planning to use it with array subscript, okay, arr I kind of thing, then it doesn't matter. You whether you create in whether you declare it as int asterisk arr or int arr square brackets, it doesn't matter. But if you are planning to do pointer arithmetic over it, right? If you want to do arr plus plus, then it has to be int asterisk arr. So then it becomes evident that you are using call by reference. But even if you are not declaring it as a pointer, the idea is that array names by default are pointers itself. Okay, that is the idea. That is what we discussed in that previous week's lecture. That arrays, they are by default pointer constants. Okay, so if you have to go back and watch that lecture again, and then you will understand the difference between these two. Okay. Sorry guys, I had to come in. You can go ahead from here.
And now, when for the next question, when we used to call the function by the value, we usually copied that same value to a new memory location, and we did the operations there. And after the function was returned, the that memory location was freed, and our changes were also gone. So now, if we want to retain those changes, we doing some operations on an integer value, and we now want to have those changes saved, we pass the parameters by the reference. So passing by the reference does what? It does not copy the value to a new memory location. Rather, it just gives that particular memory location, that already existing memory location, to the compiler, and now the operations are done there only without copying it to a new place. So our changes are also maintained, and it is not freed just after we return the function. So for this, we particularly use a pointers to pass the value. For in the parameter, we go like int star and some pointer name, and we pass the memory address using the ampersand sign. Is that okay? Do you guys have any doubt?
So in C++, there are two pass by reference and pass by pointer. So what's the difference between them?
Actually, the C++ version of pass by pointers is here called the pass by reference thing. There is no particularly uh, there is only two types of two parameters by which two ways that which we can pass parameters in C, like the value and the reference thing, which the reference here in C1 is like the pointers in the C++ thing. Any other Shepherd would like to add?
So
Straight up.
it's just like a terminology. There's no much difference by reference and a pointer. In C, we generally call it as a pointer. In C++, we will take it as reference. Did you understand?
No, not clear. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let me
okay.
let me jump in. One very simple way to understand is this. If you have already studied C++, the issue is that C++ gives you one more option for for calling functions, and that is the option of creating a reference. But this is a concept that is specific to C++. Okay, and the problem is, uh, it is basically it the term reference. Okay, you might feel that even though these two terms are exactly the same, they mean slightly different. Okay, for example, in C++, reference is something that is specific to the programming language. It works almost identical to a pointer. Okay, I think there is just one difference, that references cannot be null, pointers can be null. um, but in the background they are basically pointers. So what happened is that C++ gave you one more option. Okay, so instead of writing the pointers explicitly, you can actually pass references to an object, or a primitive type. Now, so this reference thing. Okay, this is a C++ concept. But the term reference is also a generic term. A generic term, as in when we talk about programming in general. In general, what reference means is there is some way in which the same variable that is there in the calling function, it becomes accessible to the called function. Okay, there can be different ways to do that. uh, Most probably it is a pointer only, but whatever way a particular language implements it, the idea is that you give access to the same variable that was there in the calling function to the called function. That is the idea of a reference. But here the term reference is a generic term. This is not specific to C++. It's a generic concept that I'm basically giving the reference to a variable, and then I'm just asking the called function to change things then and there only. So this is why there is a confusion, that in C++ you have a specific reference property that is added by the language. This property is not found in other languages. So for example, Java doesn't have a concept of reference. I don't think even Python has a concept of a reference. So reference is a specific thing in C++. So whenever we say pass by reference and I say C, it means that you are going to use pointers. This is the idea. Okay, but this is a terminology problem. Don't get stuck in this issue too much, right? The idea is whatever in C++ and C, if you compare them, call by value is exactly the same. In C++, whatever you call as call by pointer or pass by pointer, it is basically the same as pass by reference in C. That is it. And in C++, you have another way of achieving pass by reference, and that is using the reference itself. I know it's a bit confusing because it's a terminology problem. Okay, but don't be confused. In the idea is, um, in C++ you have two options to achieve call by reference or pass by reference, and in C you only have like one way. That is the issue. So Akshay had some question. Yeah, Akshay, that is what. If you declare it like this, then it becomes a constant. So ARR is a constant. It cannot be changed. Okay, if you try to do ARR plus plus, okay, ARR plus one is fine. You understand? If you try to change ARR itself, that is the idea. ARR plus one just means the next, ARR one. That is the thing. But ARR plus plus is not allowed. Yeah, sorry guys. Ayush has also put some link. I think it's from Geeks for Geeks. Uh, I guess that just discusses the thing that we just discussed. Okay, guys. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, anybody has any problems in the first question now? First or second question? Nobody has any problems. We can move to the third question. The third question
Yes.
is, okay, what are side effects and when are side effects desirable? Side effects are the when we use functions in the code and we don't use their reference but their values. Say if we have two functions f and g and we take the values from the f functions in the g function and make some changes to those variables, though those changes will be concised or will be there only in the function g and will not affect the actual real value in the primary function where where they were basically declared. So if you take a variable a in the function f and give its value 1 and take that variable in the g function and add plus 1 to the variable a, the value will be the value will be 2 only in the g function but not in the primary f function. And these are the side effects if we don't use asterisk.
Basically, like I said, the memory won't be retained when you pass the parameters by value. If you want to retain the changes you made to the parameters or the operations you did, you will have to go by the reference. So that the side effect that the changes are maintained, that side effect is being pointed out to. Like when this like sir gave an example of the swapping of two variables a and b, and you want to swap their values. So if you pass the function by the value, the changes won't be retained. They will be swapped, but then the memory will be freed again, and you will lose your changes, right? So if you pass it by the pointers, you will have your changes retained, and that will be a better way to swap the function, use the swap function, right? So that is the desirable effect if you are trying to have the changes retained. Any doubts for this? Is my connection good or I'm disconnected?
Yes.
Okay. That's all from my side for this question.
Yeah, any more queries? Please ask, right? I am also trying to type on chat, but you can also ask the shepherds.
Guys, you can ask the questions if you have.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Am I
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
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 in the example that Sir gave about the swapping values of A and B? What was the use of passing the means passing the variables by reference and not by values? Because we were getting the desired output even after not passing it by reference.
No, Ria, we were not getting the desired
Sir,
output.
actually, you have printed A and B, right, sir? They're thinking
Yeah,
that
you
So
printed the values
means,
during the
uh,
function before it was returned.
so they have thought that numbers are swapped.
means after function Sir wrote a statement printf the values of A and B are, but we won't write that statement and we won't get A equals to 50. Means the values won't be swapped if we won't write the last
Uh,
statement.
no. The idea, Ria, is that you have two variables in the main, A and B. Whatever values they have currently, after calling the swap function, I want their values to be interchanged. Okay, so if A had 15
Yes, sir.
and B had 25, and let us say I called swap A comma B, after this function returns, A should become 25 and B should become 15. This is what you should check. Now you should go and check the output again. The output in the two cases are not the same. Okay, they are different outputs. And whatever we wanted to achieve, you cannot achieve it by passing it by value. Maybe just look at the slide again. Okay, you will understand that there are many places where I have made printfs. Check the last printf. Okay, um, right after the swap function returns, what you are trying to achieve is that after swap function returns, the values between A and B in the main should have been interchanged, but but if you pass them by reference, their values will remain intact. That is the idea. Just go and check the slide again.
Okay, sir.
just check the last printfs of the two functions. Okay, that will give you an idea that why we are using call by reference there.
So basically, Ria,
Yes,
what
please.
happened was, yeah, you.
Yes, explain.
So basically, what happened in those slides was, in the imperfect swapping, the values were changed of A and B only in the imperfect swap for function, and they were not carried out in the primary function, main function. So in the when sir entered the command to printf the values of A and B, the values were swapped, but only in the void imperfect swap function, in and not in the main function. So when the command was given to printf in the main function, the values of A and B remained the same, and then again in the perfect swapping, the values were changed after the sir uses the reference and not the values.
Moreover, the imperfect one swapped actually the values of the copies of those two parameters, not at the original memory location.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Any more questions?
So we can move to the next question.
Mm, can I answer this one? Fourth. Hello.
Yes, carry on.
Yeah,
In
please go
the
ahead. Please go ahead.
in C, passing by reference is achieved by passing the memory address of our actual parameters into the formal parameters. So in the call by reference, when we define the function, we actually create, you can say, a pointer variables which would store the addresses of our actual parameters. So in the function, if we operate upon those, you can say, pointer variables, and using the asterisk function, if asterisk, you can say, if we change make any changes in the values stored in those, you can say, stored in those variables, then those changes will also be affected and will also be observed in our actual parameters. So in C, the passing by reference is achieved by by passing the memory addresses of our actual parameters into the pointer parameters in our uh, function, in our user defined function.
So any doubts on this? Why is the answer pointers? I think we have discussed it already, but still, if there are any reasons or any doubts, we can discuss.
I
Okay,
don't
so I
think
guess you
anyone
can.
has any doubts.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, sir, I was just saying nothing.
Yeah, fine. So then, otherwise, if no one has a doubt, then we can move to the next question.
Okay, in the fifth questions, arrays are always passed by reference. In arrays, we don't have to specifically uh, tell the compiler that we have to choose this array and use it in multiple functions. It is done by default in the C language. In other language, uh, we have to specifically tell the compiler, but in the C language, we don't have to always tell it. It is by default.
Prerak, can you explain this again? Fifth question.
Priya, you're asking something I can't hear.
I want you to explain the fifth question once again. Whatever you said just now.
Okay, okay. So for other variables like integer, char, and other data types, if we want to carry them in the other functions too, other than the primary functions, we have to use the asterisk to mark them, to use them by reference and not by their values. But arrays are always taken by their reference and not by the values. We don't have to specifically tell that we are going to use its reference, because we are only using the reference for the arrays and we cannot use it by values in the C language. I hope this clear your doubt.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes. Anyone has any doubts?
The array name by default returns the memory location of the first element of that particular array. It does not returns the value when you pass it into a function. That's why.
Priya, is your doubt clear, or do you want more discussion?
So means he explained that we have to pass the values for the array by reference. We can't pass it by pass by value function. So that's why I was having a doubt that it's why that we have to pass it by reference and not by value. So Prerak wanted to say that we don't have to give a particular location. That's why we are giving it pass by reference. So somewhat like say it's clear, but I'll have to just read it again.
So let me ask you again. What is your question? Is it about what or why? Right. So I mean, what is it with arrays? I mean, the answer is pretty clear, right? That
So why means in case of
okay.
array or anything, why we are so my major question was that when to use first thing, so when to use pass by value function, when we will use value function for passing it, and when we will
Uh,
passing by reference thing. And the second thing, when the arrays question came, so that's again it question was there that
uh,
why we are doing it by pass by reference and not.
Priya, your voice is uh, volume is very low. Uh, anyhow.
You can't actually have option to pass it by value and reference. Arrays are by default passed by reference only.
Okay. That's why I was confused that why it's so like that we are passing it by reference only and not by value. But if it's a it's compulsion,
It is designed like that only.
okay, I got it, sir. Thank you so much.
And I think that like the logical explanation of why it would have been so is very simple, right? I mean, it will be a very inefficient thing to copy the whole array from one point to another, because arrays might be huge, right? That is the idea. I mean, that is just kind of a logical explanation. I don't have the exact explanation, because that may be the creators of the language only can tell you. But uh, this seems to be a logical explanation that first of all, arrays, wherever you use them, you basically use a pointer. Okay, even the name of the array is just a pointer, a constant. So maybe that is one reason that uh, when you simply type the name of the array, it's by default an address that is traveling from one point to another. And second could be, I mean, again, I'm just trying to uh, come up with some logical explanation, is that maybe it makes sense that arrays, because they can be huge, it could be sensible to simply say we are only going to send the address over there, and all the stuff that is required to be done over this array, it should be done at the same memory location. I mean, I'm just trying to come up with some logic. If this is for the why part, what part, I think the guys have already explained that this is how the language is designed itself. It is not something that is that is programming, that is a programming concept. You can, for example, create a language where arrays are passed by value. Okay, so, and I don't know if there is any language where arrays are passed by value. There may be some, I don't know. Okay, but this is specifically about C. That is why I've written C. That in C by design it is like this, that not only C, C++, Java, arrays are passed by reference by default. There is really no way in which you can pass an array by value. It's by design. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Any more queries, guys?
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so in the slides, there was a point mentioned that the return address must be accessible. So it was not clear to me.
Very good. Oh, yeah, actually, I should have added a question on this. Let me add a question for it, and then maybe Shepard should answer. This is a good question. What should I write? Mm, okay. Shepherds, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, so you can also return an address from a function, but for that thing, the address should also be retained. Like when you declare some variable within a function, when that function ends, the variable, that particular memory where the variable was stored is also freed. So if the memory location does not even exist after that, then you cannot actually return the address. That's what it says. It also adds that if you use malloc, which adds memory which is not freed until you explicitly free it, that can be returned because it is retained. That should be a good case for returning the address. Sure. The question asks for returning a value. Shouldn't it be returning an address according to a question?
Yeah, I lost you guys a little bit in between. Is it clear, Ria, or because there was some voice breakout for me in between?
So actually means I had it out. For example, and B, and we want to find sum of A and B. So if we would write int asterisk sum, then it would give error because it is a temporary location. Means after the function will return, this variable cannot be used.
Yes. So the idea is that if you are returning the address, that address must be accessible in the calling function. Now we have already seen that when you create a local variable in a function, its scope is limited to that function only. And I did say this before, that as soon as the function finishes, the term we use is as soon as the function returns. Okay, that is the term that we use. It means that the function has completed execution. The memory which was allocated to that function for creating local variables, that gets freed. Okay, so now if you actually return address of a variable that was created locally, then that address, wherever that particular variable was residing, it is no longer a valid address because it has been freed. Okay, so you're essentially pointing to a location which is not supposed to be what it was supposed to be at, um, so which is not what it is supposed to be. So that is the idea, that you can return addresses from a function, but usually you have to make sure that that particular location is accessible in the calling function. And that is why good candidates for such locations are things like uh, pointers that are pointing to memory allocated dynamically. Because remember, the malloc function, the memory that malloc gives you, it is not freed automatically. You have to free it explicitly by calling the free function. So that is the idea. You can always return something. You can always return a pointer from a function, but you have to make sure that this particular address is valid for the calling function. That is it.
Okay, sir.
And the reason for this, why is it that you don't have to carry it the other way around? When you pass it from the calling function to the called function, you don't have to care about it, because everything and because all the memory locations that were accessible in the calling function, they are also accessible to the called function. Okay, but it is not vice versa. That is the idea. And to understand why it happens, um, the lecture that I uploaded yesterday, that is for Wednesday, we'll actually see why it happens. Why is it that uh, when I'm passing something to a function, I don't really care much. The pointers will be accessible, but when I'm returning back, then I have to be a bit careful. I should see what pointers am I returning. You will understand why it happens when we discuss the Wednesday lecture. Okay. Any more queries or clarifications or discussions on this? Okay. So in general, any questions on functions, including the first part of the functions lecture and the second part of the functions lecture? Do you have like any questions related to functions in general? Then you can ask right now. So I'm assuming now that you guys are good enough to use functions. So I expect that you'll be able to write your own functions without any problem. That you understand in what cases would you probably use call by value, and in what cases would you probably use call by reference. So I'm just assuming that now this part, it's not a very complicated concept as such, but still it needs to be known, right? So I'm assuming that it has gone through. You now understand what it is. Okay, so if we don't have any more stuff to discuss, let me also tell you something on the front of labs. So Mary ma'am has given us slots on Tuesdays and Wednesday. These slots are a little awkward because now we have to somehow squeeze time for lab. Um, so I'm not sure which session has what time, that I'll have to check. But essentially, the slot that we have is 1:15 to 3. Okay, 1:15 p.m. to 3 p.m. now, and I'm supposed to give you a 45-minute lunch break in between. Okay, so it will be a difficult thing because we won't not stop the lab. So most probably we'll have like 1:15 to 4 or 3. I'll have to check. The idea is that we might have labs starting at 2, okay, 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I think it is a 2-hour slot, so maybe it is 2 to 4. um, you guys haven't received an email from Mary ma'am as yet, right? I mean, you guys have not received the changed timetable. No, yes. Okay, that is okay. Okay, so no mail as of now. So I'm not sure, like maybe it requires talking to the other faculty members. Uh, but what exactly is your busyness at that slot? Starting from 1:15 up to say something about 4 p.m. Do you have any class or anything like that on Tuesdays and or Wednesdays?
Niharika ma'am class
Uh,
3
Pardon?
to 4. So Niharika ma'am class is 3 to 4.
On which day?
Sir,
So Monday, Thursday, Friday, not with our like it won't collide.
Yeah, so I have not seen your current timetables. This was what was offered by Mary ma'am. So I'm assuming that she would have seen any clashes, right? That she would know, there would be nothing in that slot, or if there is something, then she may plan to shift it to some other time slot. So I really don't know. That is why I asked you guys whether you guys have received an email, because I certainly want to have a lab this week. But if you guys don't receive the email by today, I don't have the authority to actually take up those slots. So I'm a bit confused myself. But this is the idea, if you do receive an email, then this is what it is. In fact, let me just open up that email. Where is that email? Mary ma'am. So this is IT, right? IT plus. So the slot. Oh, sorry. I think I made a mistake. Uh, okay, let me just check the other one as well. What is it? So the slot is actually 12:15 to 3, not 1:15 to 4. It's 12:15 to 3 slot, and I have to give you like 45 minutes of break in between. So uh, uh, okay, let me check it up again. I mean, it's um yes. So on one day it is this, and then what is the other day? Mm, this and Wednesday. This is yes, you are right. I cannot actually take that. Uh, I can actually. So it's like this. For one section, I will have a class on Wednesday from 12:15 to 1:15. But for the other section, uh, it will be like this, right? For the other section, it will be lab time. Uh, okay, so the TAs will be taking the lab at that time, and I will be taking the lecture at the same time for the other batch. See, we have to squeeze some slots for your labs, because the TA's classes, they are clashing with your labs. So I think Mary ma'am has somehow squeezed out some slots from here and there. um, but then I guess it's probably a bit too complicated to try to do that in this week. um, we are losing a lot of weeks. So how many weeks are left now? Just a minute. uh, this is what, 8th February, right? Let me check the calendar. uh, And by the way, those who want to leave, they can leave. I'm just talking to you guys. So we have one lab. If we actually give up on this lab, 1, 2, and I think the last. What is the last day of classes? Does anyone know? Um, okay, so yes, Gaurav. I mean, I'll have to see. I can probably give it as an assignment itself. Because we are losing far too many labs. Um, I think we'll still get 3 labs at least. I'm not sure about the lab on 9th and 10th March. What is the last day of classes? Do you guys know? Um, will 9th and 10th March, uh, would we have classes at that time? If we have classes on 9th on 10th, then we can actually let it go. 4 labs from here on should probably be fine. 12th March is the last day of classes, right? Yeah, so then we can afford maybe to let this go. we'll have 4 labs. How many labs you guys have had till now? 3, right? Before the midterm, we had
Yes,
3
sir.
labs.
Yes, sir.
So 3 plus 4, 7, and then we have to take best 4 out of 7. That is fine, actually. So yeah, I can probably let give up on this lab, but yes, I will probably give you guys an assignment instead, okay? And so this will be a submitted lab or something, whatever you call it. I will not call it assignment because assignments count towards your theory grade. I do want something to be considered as a lab grade, but okay, let me talk to the TAs. If you get an email today, um, yeah. So you have two different grades, right? One is the theory grade, and one is your lab grade. So the assignment that you submitted on Google Classroom, that will contribute towards your theory grade. It will not contribute towards your lab grade. So uh, Ayush, let me first make sure that there will be a lab. If there is a lab, then it will be something about loops. Okay, something till loops, I would say. Nothing more complicated, but yeah, up to loops, it should be something there. Uh, but yeah, I have to figure out if labs can be. Let me drop an email to Mary ma'am, and I'll get back to you guys over email. But you should be prepared for a lab this week. It may be cancelled again at the last moment, but be prepared for it. Okay, guys. Sorry, we have crossed over the time. So thank you. We'll sit tomorrow. Bye.